This conference will now be recorded.
Now, before I show you this, I will also show you Google. Now, Google earlier used to have API available for the usage, and the map generally uses the API called as Google Place API. So I'll just open up Google Place API. Now, what is the reason for me to open up this particular API? Because this takes API in your the request can be sent in XML format as well as in JSON format. Now, from last year, July, I think they have restricted the usage of this particular API. You can only use the get method to get certain values of the API out here. Now, if you look at this particular documentation out here, it says that the Google Place API is a service that returns information about places using HTTP request. The moment it is HTTP request, it means that it's a RESTful API because for SOAP API, they will use only XML requests. So places are defined within the API as establishment, geographical locations, or prominent point of interest. So I can basically write down a new one. This is the URL, so I'll just put this URL out here so that you can also open this. And it's basically a service that returns information about places using HTTP request. So the moment you say HTTP request means it's a RESTful API. So places are defined within this API as establishments, geographical locations, a prominent point of interest. So I can copy this part at least. The following place requests are available. Place search. Okay. Returns a list of places based on user's location or search string. Place details returns more detailed information about specific place, including user reviews. Place photos provides access to millions of places related photos stored in Google Place database. Place autocomplete automatically fits in the name and address of the place, and query autocomplete provides query protection. Each of these services accessed through an HTTP request and returns either a JSON or XML response. So these are the APIs. These are the APIs you can say the following APIs out here, and they will all return either XML or JSON response. And all request, okay, all request. I'll just copy until here first of all, and then go further. Now it also says a very important thing that all these requests must use HTTPS protocol and include an API key. Okay, this is the important thing that I'm writing it down. So it also uses the protocol called HTTPS and include an API key. That means we need an API key for that. The place API uses a place ID to uniquely identify a place. For details about the format and usage of the identifier across the place, we see the place ID documentation. So the length of the identifier may vary. Example, these are the place IDs. Okay. Place IDs are available for most locations, including business, landmarks, park, and intersection. So this is the kind of ID we will have to use and see if we can use it or not. First of all, we need to understand a couple of things is that uh, we need an API key. Now, if you want to generate the API key for Google, you have to go to get API key. You can see that in the left hand side overview section, get API key. So you have to first create the API. Okay, so what is needed to get the API is defined out here. So you must have one API key associated with your project. To get an API key, visit the Google Cloud Platform console Click the project down and select or create a project for which you want to add an API. Click the menu button and select API services credentials. On the credentials page, click credentials API key. The API key created dialog displays your new created API. So how to get it? It is defined out here. So let's first get the API key for this. And the steps are defined out here how to get the API key. That is the first step what we need to do. Now we have to add the API key to your request. You must include an API key with every place API request. In the following example, replace your API key with your own API. So this is how you have to use it. This is also very important as far as usage is concerned of the API key. So you must include an API key with every place request. In the following example, replace your API key with your own API. This is the request. Okay. So here you have to replace your API key with your API generated. Okay. Now restrict the API key. We strongly recommend that you restrict your API key. Restrictions provide added security and help ensure that only authorized requests are made with your API key. There are two restrictions. You should set both. Application restriction limit usage of API key to either websites, web servers, or mobile apps. You can select only one restriction from this category based on the platform of the API or SDK. And if you want to restrict it, you have to go to this is how you can restrict it. API restriction limits usage of API key on one or more API or SDK. Request to an API or SDK associated with the API key will be processed. This is how you have to restrict your API if you want to restrict. This is important again. So I will put it as part of the thing. But we'll not restrict anything right now. Restrictions are given out here. I know that. We will start from here and save at least this much. But we'll not restrict anything at this point of time. The deal is basically to get the API first because you need to use the HTTPS protocol and include an API key with every request that you're sending. So visit the Google Cloud Platform Console. Google Cloud Platform Console means let's open a new tab. Okay, I'll just copy this URL. Okay, I need to get out of this particular. What I will use is I'll sign in with a different user. Use another account. Online. Okay. So you have to sign in with your Google account, whatever you have, and this is the website. And let me also open up the web page where the API is there. This is the web page. Oh, URL is given right now. Okay, then you have to select with your username, password, whatever you want to select it, and it opens up with this particular page. Select your country, agree to the terms and conditions. Okay, let's go to the APIs right now. So here I'll create API. So for that I have to go to create. It is defined out here. Click on the project drop down, select or create the project for which you want to add an API. So I would like to create the API right now. So I'll go to create. So what is your project name? So I'll say that this project is API testing. I'll give today's date. So that's your project name. Copy it out. The project name. Letters, numbers, single quotes, hyphen, spaces. Okay. Let hyphen. No, it is fine. No organization, parent organization or folder. You want to select it. Let's create it. Let's see what it is there. So map API and services, map SDK for Android, geolocation API, place API. This is what I want to use. Place API. The other API also you can see that. Location data from cell towers and all. Map SDK for Android, maps for your native Android, roads API, snap to road functionality to accurately get it information about 100 million places, map for your website, map elevation API. A lot of APIs out there, but they are all now, right now, they will charge. Certain APIs are free, but not as a whole, all the APIs are free. Certain parts of the API are free. That means certain methods of the REST API services are free. For example, in Place API, what they have done right now is they have restricted you to only use the get method. 1 minute, just guys. So I'll click on Place API. This is what I want. So you can say place search, place details, and all those things are about there. Okay. And so get detailed information about 100, enable this. But doesn't basically give me what is this responsive code. I don't want that. Let me see. They've changed everything. Okay. Create a project for want you want to add. Fine. After that, click on the menu. API and services, credentials. Okay, after that, what it is saying? On the credential place, click create credentials slash API key. Create credentials, click on API key. Creating an API. This is the API right now. Okay. You want to restrict the key, usage of the key, you can restrict out here. The restriction details are defined how to restrict your API. Okay. I don't want to restrict it right now. Let it be like that. I'll just copy this API. Okay, and go out, write down at the top. This is place API. This is what we are using. And the API key is this one. So once it is done, I can close this off. This is the API key you can see out here. The moment you want to see what is the API key, you have to just activate your trial. I don't want to activate. I think it will ask for account, business, and personal, individual, optional, and all. Name Kaushik. You can give the address and all. Card details. We ask you for your credit card to make sure you are not a robot. You won't be charged unless you are under. So we have to activate this API then. Let me give whatever is required minimum. We ask you for your credit card to make sure you are not a robot. You won't be charged unless you manually upgrade to a paid account. Okay. So, what is the credit card details? Start my free trial. 1 minute. I have to give details. No security code. Anyway, they will not charge until I go to a paid account, right?
For this, we have to use a credit card or we can use our debit card also.
Debit card also. Some OTP has come. They will charge rupees 1. Let them charge. Okay, step 2 done. Signing up for 12-month free trial. Thanks for signing us the $300 in credit to spend over the next 12 months. Okay, fine. Now I can use the API, but they will not charge my credit card because I am not a paid account right now. Okay, let's go out here. So Google Play enable API and create credentials. I think we have already enabled the API. Let's see. Place API. Okay, enabled. Fine, I can go out here. Next thing I can go to place search. So I'm going to this particular area, place search. Okay. And so let's go forward right now. All these things are done. Uh, we'll do a find place request. The place API allows you to query for places information in a variety of categories such as establishment, prominent point of interest, geographical locations, and many more. You can search for places either by proximity or by text string. Important. Place search returns a list of places along with summary information about each place. Additional information is available via the place details query. Okay, so I'll copy this part. What is required? So our find place request takes a text input and returns a place. The text input can be any kind of place data, for example, a name, address, or phone number. So find place request, important. This is what we are going to use right now. Request is a HTTP URL of the following form. So this is your base URI. Immediately you can understand this. So I'll go out here and define the base URI directly for find place. Okay, and this is the, I think, the path parameters until output, and then question mark comes. The most probably it is a query parameter. Now query parameter means you are using either put or post or delete. So I'll copy this and see what are the changes required. Base URI is this path parameters. This will be parameter part. So this will be a mandatory or optional parameter. So I will remove it from here. The question mark will be remaining. What is this output? I can understand map is a folder which has a API folder inside it, which has a place folder and then find place from text. What is this output? Is it a folder or what it is? Where output may be either the following values. The output can be in JSON format or in XML format. So the output means you want the output to be in JSON or XML format. So I have to copy this. Important. Where this output that you put out here can be in JSON or XML. So I can put the path parameters. I'll copy this I'll put the path parameter something like this. Instead of this output, I want, let's say, in JSON first. JSON. Certain parameters are required. Require initiate a find place request. As a standard in URL, all parameters are separated using the ampersand sign. Okay. So certain parameters are required. So these are the required parameters. That means mandatory parameters that will come after this question mark. Query parameter then. So these are query parameters. So these are the required parameters. So I'll copy this and then understand what needs to be given. So next is so this is the first part, that is your base URI, number one. Second part is the path parameters. The parameter section we have not defined it. So parameter section will actually come out here. Actually parameter section, let me write it down. So this and this have the following values, and parameters can be mandatory or optional. So this is actually the path parameter, I can say, also called as resources. To be precise. Now let's understand what are the third part. We can call this as mandatory parameters. Section. Certain parameters are required and initiate a find place request. As it is a standard rule in URLs, all parameters are separated by the ampersand sign. So what are the required parameters? You have to give the key first. Your application's key. So you have to define the key. The keyword is key. It's already telling you. And this is the key. Right. Next thing is the input. Input is another mandatory parameter. The text input specifying which place to search for example, a name, address, or phone number. So I can give the input as name. I can give, let's say, Kempegoda. International Airport. What's happening? Input type, the type of input. This can be either a text query or a phone number. Phone numbers must be international format prefixed by the plus sign. So let's see out here. Input, it can be either a text query, what is that, or a phone number. Phone numbers must be international format prefixed with the plus sign followed by the country code, then the phone number. See this recommendation for looking at the phone numbers. This format you have to follow what is defined out here. Recommendation, which one? E164. E164 is defined out here. So you should have a country code plus sign followed by the country code. 1, 2, 3 digits. Then the national destination code and then the subscriber's number. This is the format you have to follow. So at this point of time, what I will do is I'll use a text query. So I'll copy this. So either a text query or a phone number. So I'll not follow the phone number. Text query will be the value of the what is the third type of mandatory parameter? Input type is this. Okay, so these are the mandatory. So key is one, this is B, and this is your C. Mandatory. What are the optional parameters? These are the optional parameters. Language. So optional parameters are the language, field, location bias. These are optional. You can just copy this and paste it for your reference. So this will be the D part, sorry, fourth point, optional parameters. So language, the language code indicating the first one is this A, and then fields B, then location bias is C, and what are the other things? These are the three. These IP bias, point, circular, rectangle are subsections. So I can do this as IP bias as Roman 1. This will be Roman 2. This can be Roman 3. And this can be Roman 4. So you can give any of these as optional parameter. Language, check out what does the language means. So language, the language code indicating which language the result should be returned. If possible, searches are also biased to the selected language. The searches are also dependent on the selected language. Results in the selected language may be given higher ranking. See the list of supported languages. Open up. Let me close this. A list of supported languages are this: Afrikaans, Arabian, Azerbaijan, Bengali is there. You have Chinese, Danish, English is there, so it is EN. By default, it should be EN. EN Australia, EN Great Britain, and German, Greek, Hebrew, Hindi is there, and that's all. So these are the supported languages. No, here it is also there, right? Kannada is there, Malayalam is there, Marathi is there, Nepali is there, Punjabi is there, Spanish, Swahili, Tamil, Telugu is there, Thai, Turkish, Urdu, Zulu, Vietnamese. So I can select a language. If I want to select a language, what is the thing that I have to give first? So I have to give the, I think, the parameter as only language only. So by default, it is EN. And if I, let's say I want it in Hindi, I wanted it Hindi, so Hindi value is what? What is the Hindi value? HI. Okay, so let's go for a Hindi. HI. Fields, the field specifying the type of places for to return, separated by a comma. So I'll give the fields also. Fields is equal to type of place data to return. So is there an example for field data? I don't know it. Fields, there is some example definitely. Okay, fields. Use the fields parameter to specify comma separated list of parameters, data return, types of return. For example, field is equal to opening hours, icon geometry. Use the forward slash when specifying compound values. For example, geometry slash location. Okay. The basic category includes the following fields. So I can look out this fields part. Field corresponding to places are divided into three billing categories: basic, contact, atmosphere. Basic fields are billed at basic rate. Uh, Contact, atmosphere are billed at higher rate. This is a price sheet given. Basic category includes the following, so I can use at least this one. Format, address, Geometry means location means a latitude or longitude. Icon, name, permanently closed, photos, place IDs plus code types. They can use this basic category. So this is also of interest for you. So probably I can put the fields part in the field section only, so that it gets connected with the. These are the basic categories. And there's a find place example also. It's trying to find out which particular Museum of Contemporary Art, Australia. It's trying to find out. And it's given the input type at text query, fields as. So we can give these fields also. Geometry and all. Fields I can give like this. And generally it is defined out here. If you go here, the basic categories are these. I can copy it for your reference, which you can use later on if you wish to. I'm not going to use location bias. Prefer results in specified area by specifying either a radius plus latitude longitude or two latitude longitude pairs representing the point of the rectangle. If this parameter is not specified, the API uses IP address biasing by default. Okay, so what we are going to use, a couple of things I will just show you. I'm going to use base URI as this. Okay, and then I'm going to use path parameter resources as this with output as JSON. That means the response body will come in JSON format, and the mandatory attributes that I have to use are these. I'm going to input for the Kempegowda International Airport. Optional parameters I'm going to use only two, language and field. So let's do that. The first thing that I'm going to do is let me start using first of all the Postman to do a manual approach, and then go on automated. Let's have a new collection only. We'll call this as Google Place API to find places in Google. Share and continue. It can be an editor also. I'll basically add a folder, and this is find place. Find a place. Authentication, no auth, create it. If I have to edit this, let me edit this also. Authentication is no auth, obviously. Update. So this contains find place, and find place I have no auth, I believe so. Yeah, no auth is given. Update. So inside the find place, I'm going to add a request. The request will be to, this is a get method to find a place. This is definitely a get method. You can understand when you find a place, if you look at the example out here, very conveniently you are trying to find a place. Finding place means you are trying to get information. Definitely it's a get method, according to me. I'm not putting anything inside the API, I'm finding a place. So that is what it gives. It only gives you to search from the existing database. It's all get method you can use. You can't use the delete and all methods and all. So let's see that first. Find a place. To find Kempegoda International Airport. Save to find place. Already get method has come. I can close all this. Not required to be seen. Okay. Base URI. Copy this and give it. Keys I have to give. I have to use the same format as defined. Okay, I have to give the path parameters also, right? And the output type as JSON. I'll copy this part. I start giving the mandatory parameters. Key, key input, input, input type is input type. I have to give a text query. These are mandatory. Now comes the optional part. In optional part, I'm only going to give language. Language specific search can be greater, but let's see. It says HI Hindi. You can see everything is coming after the question mark, as they have told. And then the last part is your fields. So everything is coming as a question mark, and these are the fields. So I want photos of that particular area, address, name, rating, opening hours, and geometry. Geometry means latitude, longitude. Right, all are coming out here, and I have to uh, send and download. So I would like to download it in my desktop, create a new folder, Google API. Response I'm downloading. So let's see. I can see header part, definitely. Content type is JSON. Output I wanted in JSON. If you look at authorization, oh, this fix it. No auth, body, raw, body none, prerequisite test, nothing settings, I think. Okay, let's send and download right now. You want to replace that, yeah. So this is the response. It has 12 headers. You can see that I wanted the output in JSON format. It is coming in JSON. Date is coming. Expires on this particular date. It is saying that content encoding is gzip, server name is scaffolding on HTTP server 2. Okay, and content length is 71. So all these are header section. Body is not coming, and status is 200. Okay, okay. Uh, these are the parameters. Let me send it once more. Why is the body not coming? Yeah, now the body is coming. When you invalid request, why? Why it is coming as invalid request? Uh, okay, let us check up when does the invalid request comes. Text search request, JSON map. Okay, is there a response? What is search response? Find place response. JSON response should come like this. Find the geometry name. The response in JSON format should come like this. And if you scroll down, status contains metadata. The JSON response contains up to 4 root elements. 4 root elements can be status. Status is this. Results. Results. What else? HTML attributions. HTML attributions and next page token. So this is the response that you should get in JSON format. Let me pick up the response and copy it, type it down. Uh, response example. And it also says couple of things. JSON response should contain the following things. I'll put that also. Okay, and what else it is saying? Status codes, invalid request generally indicate that a required query parameter, location or radius is missing. Location or radius is missing. These are the status codes, and what I have got is this. So I will have to copy this. This is what happens. Status codes are this. I am getting invalid request. Required query parameter, location or radius is missing. Okay, let's look at the location and radius part. Then we'll find out. Error messages: when the Google Play returns a status code other than OK, there may be additional error messages field within the response object. These fields contain more detailed information. Okay, so let us look at what do you mean by this location or radius is missing. As far as this find place request is concerned, find place, not nearby search. This is a different request or a text search. It needs location bias. Prefer results in a specified area by specifying either radius plus latitude longitude. If this parameter is not specified, API uses IP address biasing. Okay, let us look at one particular thing. If I write down Kempegoda, It is called as Bangalore International Airport, is it? BIAL. Okay, if I give the what is the radius 500 meters, location is this. Okay, let me give the location. So the location will come as location bias. Prefer results in a specified area by specifying either a radius plus latitude longitude or two latitude longitude pairs within the point of the rectangle. If this parameter is not by API uses the IP address biasing. How to use that? For example, if I change the query to input parameter to Bangalore International Airport, BIAL, Bangalore International Airport, then send the query then. Security parameter coming as this. Let it be Kempegoda. Okay, send it out. Invalid request is requires location. Let's see how to use a location. Find place. Let's give location bias and check it out. What we have to give? Circle, circle, radius, latitude, longitude. You have to give. Copy this. Use it out here. Radius, let's say 500 meters. As a latitude, what is the latitude and longitude of Kempegoda? Thirteen point 19, 77.70. 13.19, 77.07, 70. Send. Is it because it is in Hindi? If I write down Ian, English. Status are coming. Status is 200. Where is the body? Why is the body not coming? Circle. Fields are this. Thirteen point nine one. Error while processing fields parameter. Slash location. It means same. You can give by slash. This Google has made this thing kind of so jittery. Let me take this. These fields are field. Fields it is. Fine. Yes. Let's go to the example. What is the example taken? Photos, formatted address, name, hour. And location bias. Same I have given. Copy this, paste out here. Opening hours. This is location bias. Actually, I written the last thing. Location bias. Location bias. Circle at the rate. Copy it. Okay, 2000 meters. And the latitude longitude is a bit different. That is what we're going to follow. 131986. 13 77 7066. 77 7086. Everything given. Language. Let's read back to Hindi. Should not have any space. No space. See that there's no space. Oh. Geometry fine. No space. Here any space? No. Let's send it now. Fields. Fields. Let me remove these spaces also. Main rating, opening hours, no space, comma, geometry, send. Now we have got. Oh, now we have got it. So no spaces. One space and all, it is not accepting it. Okay, let me download this response. You will not get the body when you download it. Okay, just send it once more, you will get it. Okay, this is what you get. This is your actual response. I'll copy this actual response. And then we will see what is the actual response coming in what terms. Copy and paste it out here. And then actual response body. Okay, we have asked for. Now if you look at it, it says that status will come. At least a JSON response contains up to 4 root elements. Status, so I see a status. I will also see the root element as results. Is there a result part? I don't see results. What I see is HTML attributions. Do I see any HTML attributions? No. It says contains up to 4. It can be 4 or less than 4 also. Display. HTML attributions is this. Next page token. So I don't know. Out of these 4, what is specified out here? It may up to 4. I can see status at least. I do not see results. I do not see next page token or nor do I see HTML attribution. That's fine. What I see is what I require. I need the I if you remember in the field I requested for photos formatted address. This formatted address is defined out here. Yeah. KIL Road, Devanahalli, Bangalore, Karnataka. Bharat is coming in Hindi because we opted for Hindi. So whatever can come in Hindi, it is coming in Hindi. And what else I had given? Photos, names, rating, opening hours. And photos, these are the photos. This is the source of the photo. Photo reference is defined. Height and width of the photo is defined in the photo section. Name is coming, Bengaluru Antarashtriya Hawai Adda. The name is also coming. Formatted address is coming. Photo references are coming. Rating, opening hours. Rating is defined, rating 4.5. Opening hours is defined. No closing hours, so no opening hours also. It understood it's an airport. Never get closed. What else we had asked? Geometry. Geometry means location or latitude, longitude. So this is the geometry part. Location, viewport, southwest latitude, longitude. Southwest means southwest point of the airport has this latitude, longitude. The exact latitude, longitude is defined out here. Viewport means what we can see. What we can see. When we stand in the front of the airport, we do not see the whole 360 degree of the airport, only the front portion. That is called viewport. So one corner northeast latitude longitude is taken and southwest points latitude longitude is taken. That is how it is done. So I need to save this. I have to save this in where is that Google API here? It has Unicodes. The same thing has to be now converted to a you know. So I can basically call this. Uh, Let me call this refactor this to Google Place API. And this I'll refactor this to find place. So very simple thing I'll show you. Given dot. Okay. First you have to use. Sorry. First you have to use. There is public static uh, public static. Okay. Let me go from scratch. What a given. Let's start with given. Given dot. The given is not understood because it's a static method. So I told you static method has to be imported. So I will just import it for your reference. I have others. PIs, just API. Yeah. assertion. Uh, you have to use a public static base URI variable, and you have to give the base URI like this. I'll just copy this one by one because it's just very simple to understand. So at the class level, I'm creating a global variable. Okay, and why it is static? Because I have to use it in the static method. If I don't make this variable as static, I can't use in static methods. So static references can be called in static methods. So it's a string type. Base URI is the variable name, and this is the URI that you have to give. So I will just pick up the URI from here. 1 minute. So where I have given the URI, right? Mm, this is a base URI, right? I will just define it in this particular mode, right? And now can use the given method. So for using the given method, what we need to do is import the static given method from rest assured package. So the same import needs to do this import. So you can see IntelliSense is not giving you. That is the problem with static methods. What you need to do, import io dot import io dot rest assured dot rest assured class, okay, dot given method should come. Why it is not coming? Because given method is static, so you have to use the static keyword. Static rest assured. So rest assured is a class dot given method that is coming. So the given method is a static method of the rest assured class. The rest assured class belongs to io.rest assured package. You can see that underline is gone. Given, rest of the part given. Now get method you have to use. You have to use the get method. Methods are used with the when command. In given you have to give the base URI. It's already defined out here. So you have to call the base URI variable from here and put it to the base URI variable of the rest assured class. So I'll show you what now I'm trying to do. I'll call this as base URI var so that you don't get confused. So this variable contains this base URI. I have to call this. How do I call it? Inside this main method, I have to call the rest assured class, which has a static and final variable called base URI. See this, okay? Whose value is equal to, this is where you have to give actually the base URI value, this value. But since I have kept it to the global variable, I'll call this variable out here. Okay, this is how you define. Okay. Okay, it turns to blue. You can see it turns to blue means it is a static and final global variable. How do I know that? You see, rest base URI is a variable of rest assured class. Return type is a string. So it is returning a string value. So this is a string type. If you don't want to declare this global variable, why do you declare a global variable? So that you can use it in any of the methods, any of the static methods. Okay. If I don't want to declare this global variable, then call this particular value directly out here. But since I have to use the global variable in some other method, that's why I'm declaring it at the class level. And what I can do is that I'll just pass on the value of this global variable to the static and final variable of rest assured class. So base URI is a base URI is a Mm, and final variable of rest assured class. Then use the given method. Given, I told you, in given method you have to declare the request header, the request body, uh, the mandatory what do you call, the mandatory parameter, the optional parameters. Now this is we are using the get method out here. The get method will not have a request body. So given, and since we are using the get method does not use the query parameters. It uses the parameters. So dot, I can go to the next line and start writing from here. So it makes your life easier also. Parameters, not query parameters. Query parameter will come as query parameter only. Query parameter this. Okay. So what you have to give? This is the query parameter means the mandatory parameter. So you can write down mandatory and what parameters? Optional parameters. And if you have headers, there is request headers. Remember that. If you have request headers, you don't have any request headers out here. Request body are all defined with the given method. Request body and cookie, if required, are all defined out here. Okay, I'm just writing down for your reference. So given that parameter param, param, it's a method. If you want to see this method, dot param, string, argument and object. This is what I'm using. Okay, so I'll just copy this and paste it out here. The first is the string key, key, and the value of the key define out here. So what is the key that I am using? The key that I am using is this. In the same manner, you have to define it out here. Okay, and all the parameters has to be described like this. So key we have defined, dot another parameter. So how many parameters do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 parameters. Those 6 parameters means 6 lines of code. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The values will change. This will be your input. Input, and the input type is, I'll copy it directly from here. I don't have any problem. And then the input type, input type is text query. And then we have optional parameters, language. Write down language. Uh, Preference is Hindi, HI. And then we have fields. You don't have to give any space between the fields. I'll just copy this whole thing. You don't have any problem. Copy and paste it out here. And then the last part is your location bias. Location bias is this. So all the mandatory optional parameters are given. There's no header, there's no request body, and there's no cookie. So all these parameters I'll give one step out here, one tab. You can understand these are part of your given. So mandatory optional parameters, request body is not there. It's a gets product request, headers are not there, cookies are not there. Okay, base URI we have defined out here. So given is done, and then when, now if you put when, all the methods will come. The we have to use the get method, so you can use the get method dot get method is there, put method is there, dot put, whatever method you want to use. And then you have the post method. Post method is there, post. Delete method is there, dot delete. Trace method, all the methods of REST API will come here. So when, what we have to use, when dot, I'll come down one step down. When get, in the same fashion, when get, and then you have to give the path parameters. Output should be in JSON format. So I will get the path parameters from here. I kept the path parameters somewhere. Yeah, output will be in JSON. I'll just copy the whole thing. So with the get method, you have to give the path parameter. Okay, dot. So done, and then we can use the then simple validation. Then assert that method, assert and validate. Then assert that dot, that the, what is the status code you are getting? Assert that. We'll see one by one what we can assert. Assert that the status code is equal to 200. That is the first assertion. Now you can do multiple assertions, but if you want to do multiple assertion, and method has to be used, and assert that this is this dot, and dot content type. Content type is JSON. If you look at the response body, gives you a header. In the header section, the content type is coming in JSON. So that I can assert out here directly. Content type, and you have to use content type dot. It can be binary, it can HTML, JSON, text, URL, XML. Content type is JSON. I'll put this down. And these two I will show you right now. Okay, we'll see that later on. Okay, these two validations will go step by step. Done. These two assertion. This is simple assertion. So when method uses what? The REST API methods with path parameters, and then basically is used to assert. Validations, and these are simple validations. I have not done validations of the response body. Simple validations to see the status code is 200 and the content type is JSON or not. And comment it. That's all. Simple validations will do, and then we'll step forward. So run this now. Now, if the validations are successful, I will get a printout. Sys out. If the validation fails, I will not get a printout. All validations passed. I'll get this printout if these two validations are successful. If one of them fails also, I'll not get this printout. If this validation fails at that point, compilation will start from this point onwards. If the validation stops at this point or fails at this point, compilation stops at that line onwards. So if the validation fails at this line or this line, you will not get this printout. Let's run this now. It takes time, all validation passed. How do I fail it out? I'll validate the status code is 201. Simple. The validation stops here, compilation stops from this line, you will not get the printout all validation passed. You will see, it tells you also expected status code is 201, actual was 200. Assertion error. You're not getting the printout also all validation passed. Add line number 51. And is used twice. It can be used once only. Okay. This is how you can verify directly. Nothing down. Now the validation will pass. You'll get the validation printout also. Okay. So that is the primary usage of given, when, and then. Okay. So we'll stop at this particular point. I will send you this particular code along with the text file that I've created for Google. And I've also shared the current connection. And next time onwards, I'll go forward with much more deeper understanding of the particular rest assured framework. Just a lookout of what happens in manual versus what do you do in automation using rest assured. Any questions, guys?
Not so far, Kaushik. Actually, we have to means like do it practically by ourselves. तो
Yeah.
उसके बाद फिर
Okay. Okay. I'll send you the codes and I'll send you
sure,
the
yeah.
text file that I've created today for Google. हाँ बस बताओ. You have some question? Hello?
Yeah, Kaushik, not from my side right now. I have to do it practically, so maybe like in next session, maybe I have some doubt, but right now I don't have it.
Okay. ठीक है. ठीक है, fine. Then I'll send you these files, and if you have any problems while practicing, just ping me quietly or
Sure.
like that. Okay, that.
Yeah.
ठीक है. I will send you the codes too.
Okay. Sure, Kaushik. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kaushik.
Thanks.